So here we are in the guard now. Because of the punching factor, I want to kind of control his wrist as much as I can. A lot of times he'll control my biceps like this. Okay, so what I've got to do is I've got to try to clear this as much as I can to get that arm off. Okay. Now, if he allows me, he's controlling, if he allows me to get this off and get to here, now I can shoot my hips out by using my foot here and use my upper leg and hold and grab, and now that would allow me to get my legs over and go for the arm lock. So my key here, if he's holding my biceps, is to bring my hand up as high as I can, reach this arm across and pull it off. If he drops his elbow, I can use my other hand to push. Put your foot on his hip, put your other foot on his back, and get your hips off center. Chop the side of the head, grab with your hand on the trapezius, snap this over the top, and just squeeze and lift your hips. Okay, again. So again, he's controlling my biceps. I bring my arm up, I reach across, I pull it down. He'll naturally drop his elbow back down. I'm going to push his elbow. This will give me this option. Grab and chop the back of his neck. If he puts his head down into me, I use my forearm. If he lifts his head up, I use my fingers. This is pretty secure, which allows this leg to come over the top and hip up and finish the arm lock. Now I've got to clear my arm, so I lift this up over my head and grab the back of my head. This hand comes across and I pull this off. I control the elbow because I know he'll try to bring it back. Put that foot on the hip, squeeze it tight, pull your arm back. Look at that, that's pretty secure. Now I use this leg and I'll balance him, chop his head, loop this leg over. Both legs are nice and tight, both hips go to the sky. Now again, he's controlling my biceps. Now if his hands, let's say his hands are real tight and he puts his thumbs under my armpits, like this. Some people do that, okay? In order for me to clear this, okay, this is maybe a little, oh, he's got good control. So watch this, because it's close to my chest, I'm gonna take my hand and grab it and just crunch his wrist in. That will also allow me to break his grip faster. Hold it, squeeze it, off balance, chop, and hip up and lock him. Okay? He holds my closer down towards my elbow. Do this, I bring this in, see how it kind of gives him a little bit of a wrist lock. Pull it, hold his elbow, slide it, chop it, and go here. If he pulls that arm out, you've got this arm, you can lock here, this way, okay, which is called a razor lock, or you would bring this all the way over to here and straighten him out as much as possible, okay, and right from here, usually, he's going to either roll or, if he rolls all the way over like this, look at, I hold his arm here, I place my knee on the floor, I back spin over his head, look at this leg, hooks under his head, and then I arm lock him on top. Ooh. So, anytime I try to get this, and I try to go for this lock, he pulls that arm out. Now, naturally, look at where his body's pushing into me. If I stay here, he's going to pass my guard. No good. So as soon as I feel his pressure come into me, I loop my leg back. This will start to give me the razor lock here. And notice I'm blocking this shoulder, and opening my hips, and using this here to get the razor lock. Sorry. Now from here, if I push his head and I go for what we call the omoplata, also known as a hammer lock with the legs, I bring him down to here, he rolls. He's going to roll. Good. Hold his arm. Just like this. Come up to your knee. Now from right here, I'm facing his feet. I spin on my knee over his head. Pick his head up, hook it, just like I'm going to triangle, but I go for the arm lock. Okay. So. Okay. Again, bring this, pinch it, start to bring it off, try to work your arm lock. He pulls it out. Look at this, I push. This right now is going, this leg will straighten to the floor this way. I want to straighten it out as much as I can. Okay, he rolls. No problem, hold him and pivot. Pick his head up and arm lock. Okay, from right here. So I have his arm trapped still. So I'm just going to post and pivot over his head, wide, picking his head up, sliding this under his head, and snapping my elbow and my knees together to arm lock him here. Okay, from this position one more time. I go for this arm. I want this arm. Oh, look at. I got to go for this one. He rolls over. As soon as he rolls, I hold his wrist. I hold him because I don't want him to move. Pin, pivot. Pick his arm up. Arm. Okay. Slide over this attach. Okay. Look at this. Pick this up. From this position, what I'm going to do, I can tuck an arm and go for the arm lock. What I'll do is I'll just go for the simple 6-count arm lock. So again, maybe I'm here and I go 1, arm drag, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, again, I'm here, I go like this, and I try to go here. He pulls that arm out. So look at, I have this arm, I push his head, I go to this. And what again, I'm trying to bring his body weight down. But he's so strong, he's going to bear back up. He's going to lift up. As he lifts up, look at, I go right into the triangle here. And I try to get it, but my legs can't quite reach it. So look at, oh, I snap it over, and I end up with an arm lock. So it's actually a compound attack. Compound. Okay, so again, no resistance when you're practicing your technique. Your partner is just allowing you to use, not lose, his body. So I go 1, 2, spin, and arm lock. He pulls that arm out. This needs to be here, and I bring it to here. I try to bring his body weight down. I try to sit up while he bears back into me because he's so strong. Look at this. I open my legs, and I end up right into, go to your knees, to the triangle. Okay, I'm trying to get the triangle. Quite possibly he's stacking me or it's too big. So watch. Look at this. I just bring that leg back over and I arm lock him here. Whew. Okay. Again. Okay. His knees are in. His knees are open. Wider, wider. His hips are in tighter. Good. Okay. Now from the crooked guard, it's like I'm going to do an arm drag and go for the 6-count arm lock. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. But instead of doing this now, I go arm drag and I pull his head down. Look what he's giving me. He's giving me the opportunity to go over that shoulder. Okay, now if I switch my legs here, I can go for an arm lock right here. Okay? But quite possibly that shoulder could come all the way in, especially because we're slick, okay? And not slick meaning tricky, but slick meaning sweaty. Okay? Because we're both tricky and sweaty. So again, I pull this down and across, I pull his head down, I take this foot and I bring this up over that shoulder. Now, I start to pull my knees, or his head and my knee, or grab my hands. I want this really, really tight. Now the key here is crossing my 2 feet. Once we can establish this as a hold, and he's going to try to get out of this, tries to move out, and I keep it nice and tight, then I can attack. But if I can't get this position, again, this is called the high guard, also known as the crooked guard, because it's crooked, it's over his shoulder. Again. So I bring this out, I pull his head down. I put my foot here, I bring this leg high. On his back, this leg goes over his shoulder and around his back. And it's always on the bottom, therefore I have it nice and controlled. Okay, if it's switched here, I feel as though I don't have as much control. Here's a little more secure. I'm going to hold his head down, and it's going to allow me to attack. Okay, I also can pull my knees up, or I can hold the back of his head and the back of my knee, just like this. Good. Now, in order for me to attack this arm, I chop and I loop my leg over. There it is. And I hip up. If he happens to stack me, I open my knees as wide as I can and I arm lock him here. Okay? That offsets his head. Because he needs his head into me to stack me. See that? But if he goes to stack me here and I open my knees, it gives me his arm. Okay. Now, again, I go arm drag, hold his head, high guard, it's called high crooked guard, hold it from here. I chop his neck when I'm holding his neck. I loop this over. Now, again, if he decides to push into me, I use my right leg and offset his body and arm lock him. One more time. Okay. So from here, arm drag, hold his head down, slide my hips out, off center line, over, crisscross. Chop his head, hold it tight, loop it over. Now again, he naturally is going to stack me. I open my feet up. Look at this. Gives me his elbow. Okay. If my feet are open and he stacks me, I use my right leg to offset his body. Good. If he keeps stacking, look at this. I got to slide under his body and helicopter to finish the lock. That's because he's got so much pressure into my head that I have to slide under. Okay, one more time. So, crooked guard. 1, 2, hips out, over the shoulder. Good hold. Chop his head, arm lock. He's going to push into me. Cross your feet, push your knee, pull your arm. Number 1. He pushes into me. I use this leg. And I use this arm. This is number 2. Comes back up. Third way is a helicopter. Again, I go for the attack. 1. Crooked guard. Hold them tight. Keep them tight. Attack. He pressures into me. Now again, I try to push up. Now he steps up, comes up on top, and pressures into me a little more. I underhook. I spin slowly. Look at my hand comes all the way through. And I hold his arm, and arm lock. The crooked guard is also known as the high guard, is used for many, many different attacks and setups in the guard. I like it because you've got multiple attacks, multiple setups, so you can get this position. The key is that you don't allow him to pass your guard because you're going over. So anytime they pull that arm out, you can go back to your guard. So we'll show some of the options here. Okay, again, my entry could be from the arm drag, and I hold his head, and I slide out, and I come over the top here. Sorry. So again, I would be right here. I hold his head, or I hold my knees. Very, very important. As you can see right here, I have 2 arm locks right off the bat. I've got number 1, and then number 2 from right here is just your razor. We call razor lock because you're actually shaving the back of his arm and using it here. Okay. So a lot of times if I go for this first arm lock and he pulls that arm out like that, you keep this, and I like to open this. I keep this crossed here, doesn't matter left or right, and I just use this as my razor lock. Okay, now obviously he's going to start to bend his arm in, which gives you your next setup. I bring it across center line. I put my right foot on his hip from here, right foot on his hip, slide this across, and I hold his head out and go for my triangle attack. And better off here. Okay. Now, in the triangle attack, you also have an arm lock here if I straighten my hips, and you also have a wrist lock attack. Sorry. Okay. If his head goes up in the air, you bring this over and arm lock here. Now, if his head comes all the way up and he pressures in, look at this. See where that foot goes? Bring this back over here and use this here. As much as you can, you're going to arm lock him. And figure 4, straight arm lock. Okay, sorry. Okay, one more time. Okay. So again, I arm drag him. I pull his head down. I go over his shoulder here. Okay, arm lock attack number 1. Pulls his arm out. You already have arm lock attack number 2, which gives you 3 options with this arm. You've got it here. If he starts to bend it this way, Look at, you've got a V-arm lock, also right here, sorry. Or if he turns it the other way, you've got what we call a chicken wing or a hammer lock or whatever you want to call it. It's a shoulder lock, also known as Outakes. You just bring it up and bring it here. This can also be done, again, with your legs. You would sit up into them, and you have two options again. You would sit all the way up from here. Try to grab his wrist, walk your hips away from him as much as you possibly can, and push over him. And naturally, because he's strong, he's going to put me back on my back. Like this. And look at, ooh, I could use that as a sweep. Again, look where I'm at. Perfect. Back spin over his head, hook his head up, and go back to the arm lock. There's your arm lock again. So that just led from the last to the next. Okay, so let's go back again. 1. There's your first arm lock. Crooked guard attack. Chop. Arm lock. He pulls his arm out. Keep this here. Here. 2. I go like this. Back. I open. Pull his head down or reach over and pull. Okay. Arm lock. Wrist lock. Arm lock. He starts his head up. Lift your head up. Oh, look at. Figure 4, arm lock. This is even here. This stays here. And arm lock. Good. Crisscross. 1. Pull it out. See here, 2. Relax. Bend your arm. 3. He bends it the other way. 4. Chicken wing. Or use your legs. Try to sit up. He brings me back. Watch. Back shoulder roll. I just swept him. I'm on the side. I pin and post. Pull his head up. Hook under. Slide into your arm lock. What I'm going to do here is because a lot of guys, they leave their elbows down like this. So what I'll do is I'll try to bring my hand underneath and grab his wrist. As I grab his wrist, I'm going to take his hand and I'm going to place his elbow right into my hip socket and hold it right here. Okay? It does not look right now like this actually is going to do anything. But watch just with my legs alone. Watch this. Now I grab his head. Look at, my hip is actually extending his arm. Woo! Okay, one more time. So I grab, cross grab. His elbows are down. Cross grab. I hip up. I drop my hips and stuff this in like this. One more time. Because his elbows are down. I reach up. I hip up as high as I can. I drop my hips and slide this in here. Now my foot comes here. I bring this high, grab and chop, and use this leg to off-balance him. Look at this. This comes over, and there's your arm lock. Okay, so again, his elbows are down. I cross grab here. I hold his elbow. I hip up. I drop my hips and stuff his elbow in. Now my foot comes to his hip. This leg offsets his head. This hand automatically comes here, and I just loop it over. His arm's already extended. Keep this as tight as you can, and hip up. Hip up, drop, scoop it, place it, hook, off balance, arm lock. It's called an elbow pin, arm lock. Pulls his arm out. Look where I'm at, back to here, or back to here. And this naturally will come up to here. I can figure 4 this at any time, or come to here and figure 4. Good. Sometimes I can't. My objective is not to let him sit up, and I want to get his elbows out. If I can get his elbows out, I can bring my knees up, and this is easier for me to get my arm underneath the grab and slowly try to rip his arm up. As I do that, I'm going to use my legs to climb up as much as I can, slide up a little higher, use the razor part. I want to put his face on the floor, so I'm going to use all my pressure down and turn this either with my hands here and pull it, or with my wrist, and I'm just going to grab it and bring it down. Again, the grip could be here, or could be two hands and pulling and rolling, and I keep his head here. So again, from this position, I've got to make sure his elbows are not in, because if they are, there's no way. I've got to break them out a little bit. This will give me this option here. Or if his head's down, even from here, I've got to scoop his head and really try to get under this. Now I've just got to make sure that he doesn't grab my elbow with this hand and slowly just bring it back and start to reverse crank me here. Okay, I've just got to be careful, especially if someone's very strong. But if he starts to do that, what he's doing is offsetting my hips here to also, you know, he's cranking this, but I'm also cranking his arm. So just be careful that when you start underhooking, that he just doesn't re-rip it. And if he does, starts to re-rip the arm, push and wipe and pull out, then maybe you can start to work your attack on this side to get up. Okay, so here we are. Again, I break his elbows out, I reach underneath, I rip his arm. Look at my legs, I start to climb up to my side, I put his face on the floor, slide this in and up, and just pull this down, or down like this. And my head's going to be turning out and pinching to control this arm from not coming off here, or turn and pull it here. Okay, this is because maybe I can't quite get a grip here. I can't get anything. He's not letting me pull his arms up. I can't arm drag him. I can't bring it across. But what I can do is break a grip. See, I break the grip on the elbow by pulling it out and getting underneath it, pulling his head, now starting to pull. Use my hips and my legs. If his arm stays bent, I'm going to just bent arm lock him here. And if not, he's going to start to straighten it, which is perfect for me, and I'm just going to start to crank this. And I can keep my knee either here, my pressure needs to be forward, or I keep my entire leg over his body here, and I crank it up here. Okay, if he starts to bend this arm, elbow down, brings his elbow down here, keep this tight, and you've got a reverse shoulder lock as long as his head's here. If he does barrel back up because he's so strong, keep coming into me, there is your arm attack from here. Okay. Same exact lock, but he's grabbing the back of my head. Because a lot of guys decide to grab the back of your head. Now, if he starts to crank my neck here like this, a lot of people now are doing this in the guard. Get your knees tighter, and they grab your head and they drive their elbows to your chest. Okay. So when he does this, I push his chin up. Okay. I wipe his arm off. Oh, look what I got. Foot on his hip, slide, and spinning arm lock. Hook, and hook his arm. Okay, again. He's big, he's strong, he's trying to neck crank me here. Which he can do. He can do that, okay? So again, it's like Muay Thai. Push this chin up. Okay, another counter, go. If he's so strong, I gotta push his chin up or wedge this up. Push this off, hook it tight, and keep this arm, hips up, and over the top. As you push here and here, simultaneous, one at a time, you've got the arm lock finish. Okay, he comes back. Okay, he pops to his feet, and he grabs my head and pulls my head, and oh my God, same thing. Push him up, scoop, slide, and arm lock finish. Again, you want that thumb facing up as much as possible, using your hip, or your pubic bone, or squeeze and put it here, or put your fist here, or man, he's too flexible, so I've got to put his arm under my armpit and hip up. Okay. I'm in the guard. He's got the back of my head with one hand. So my objective here now is to take this, and I want to bring his arm and his face and his body. So I want to bring his chest to the floor, his head on the floor, and take the back of his arm and arm lock him. So from right here, what I'm going to do, as soon as he grabs, because I don't want him to pull my head up, I keep my head backwards, pull my head up, I keep it backwards. So as I take this, I'm going to push this out, bring this up on the back of his head and shoulder, and bring it down. He goes with his other arm, grabs the back of my head. These are how you drill them. Okay? Take your foot, block his arm, put your foot on his hip, bring your other foot on the back here, and place this here and pull. Or use this way, razor lock style. Okay? Again, he grabs, I put my hand on his bicep, put my knee on my foot on his hip. This is also good because he's punching, but a lot of guys are going to hold, so you're going to hold here or grab the back of his elbow. I'm going to drive, offset him, use this on the back of his arm to drive this in. Anytime I'm taking this pressure, he's so strong he comes back up. Look where I end up. Look at, I can kick that through here. And I know I'm getting stacked, and that's why I watch my shoulders. I start to walk back on my shoulders to create more space. And this is going to start to give me my next attack. Okay, which could be, actually would be here on the arm, or he keeps coming into me, and I bring it all the way over, just like this, and hip up. Okay. All right. So, again, it's because he's grabbing the back of my head. I'll go, if I'm in the standing guard, he grabs my head, okay, and he starts to pull. So I open, and I put my foot right here like this. If he tries to ankle lock me, I already feel he's going to ankle lock. If he starts to go back and ankle lock, I'm going to block and come up over the top with him. And a lot of times, because he's got the ankle lock, I arm lock him as he ankle locks. Okay, so I'm in the guard. Grabs my head. Okay, again, block, foot here, grab. Use this, pull, and use this to offset and put his head down. Head tight, squeeze and pull his arm down. He starts to come back up. Look at, or his arm slips out here. Look where I'm at. I've still got a base. Move my hips, kick back over. Ooh, and look at. This is the judo version of taking this arm. I put my feet on the floor. So I go from here, I put my feet on the floor. I bring my hips up into the air, and I turn all the way over into this. Notice where my arm is. This is done extremely fast. Now I switch my hips back, and it's twice as powerful and twice as strong because I'm using my entire body to rip that arm. Okay? So again, he's grabbing. I take my feet off. I reach over tight, and then I rip it. And I can also kick that leg out and then bring this back up and arm lock it. Okay? He grabs with this arm. So from right here, he's grabbing. I'm going to take my feet off, reach over. Now, I don't like to keep my head here because he can reach, put his head down. Uh-oh, now he can go for a choke. And start to swirl, grab it tight, squeeze, and I'll be end up in this position. Now, I would end up sweeping with this one anyways. Choke me, grab your bicep. Cinch it up more tighter. I would end up trying to use this, and then coming back to finish for this arm. And since he's giving me the arm. Okay, so from here, he's holding me. Again, I take my feet off, I reach, and I come up and over and rip it across. He comes back, he reaches his other hand up. Okay, same thing, feet off, reach up, reach over, and get my leg at the same time and rip it, or rip it here. Okay, in the butterfly guard position, my objective is to keep my forehead here as much as I can. Now, sometimes I start out here, and what I'll do is I'll slide my feet in, and then I'll grab his legs, just like this, just to get my hips in tight to his. Once I'm in, then I'm going to try to get to this position and hold him here. Now, this is easy for me to try to work and try to get my sweep. And as I do this, I want to always stay on one side and bring my head low, and then sweep him up and sweep him over. So, if he comes back up, okay, going back to your knees. From right here, okay? So from right here, a lot of times the guy's going to grab the back of your head. Good, that's the best time for you to put your foot up and bring this out and work your arm lock. Ooh, and come back in. Okay, so sometimes I'm here and he just puts his forehead on my chest and drives me to the ground like this, but I keep my butterflies in. Okay, it's the same thing now. He's got his arm, he's holding my head. The same thing I do here is I start to pressure. move him, slide out, and use my leg and my arm. Okay, or here. Okay. This is from what we call the butterfly guard position. And it's because right from here, I've got this position. I'm trying to get the sweep, holding the arm, grabbing his hand, keeping his hand tight to me, and trying to lift him and come up on top. If I have here and sweep him, I can go from here and arm lock him. Okay. I can step over his head and arm lock him. Don't move. Or from here, tuck his head, spin, and arm lock, and make sure his thumb is facing low and arm lock. Okay. Okay. So, butterfly guard. I'm here. Okay, right from here, look at that arm. He's already holding my head. Push his hips, bring it out, and arm lock. Okay, last one's a shooting arm lock. This is from this position. So you have your feet inside, your hooks inside, and you can sometimes come in with your feet on the outside, which is just as fine. Because a lot of times when you start out, shake hands, and we start out, one guy might start low. Sometimes the guy will sit like this, and he starts to attack. He starts to play from here. Some guys start out here with their feet in. Some guys start out here with their feet out. Doesn't matter. You're playing. It does not matter where you are. You're playing. When you're attacking and trying to finish and you're fighting, it's more important that he does not pass my guard, and that I keep him in my guard as much as I possibly can to try to arm lock him. And if not, he starts to pass, I bridge, go to my knees, go on top, and I re-attack him. Okay, so here I am right now. I'm right here. I'm going to get a hold of one wrist and an elbow. So right from here, I'm going to go here. My foot's going to go to his hip. Okay, so we start out here. Maybe we start to play. Now, right from here, I put my foot on his hip. And as this foot hits his hip, I'm going to hold his elbow. So you can't pull your arm back. You can't pull his arm back. Okay. So I start out here. I go from my hand from right here, from controlling, to here, and control his elbow. Okay. I go like this, and my foot comes up. This is going to give me the option to boot scoot in and kick this leg in. As I do that, look what I've got. I know right now I'm going to start the hook here and start the triangle. I don't want the triangle. I'm faking it to get the bounce to the arm. And now this is going to give me this ability, again, or this ability to triangle the arm and bring it here. So when I start from here, I just go from here and I grab and I put it in right away. Okay? I'm going to go from here, grab, and foot on his hip, and boot scoot in, and I'm going to start to go for my arm here. Now if he starts already past my guard, starts to pass, look at how I reopen my leg here. I'm going to reopen my leg. As I'm reopening, I'm pulling that elbow. That's going to give me the other option. I'm on my butt. I've got my feet here on his hip, on his knees. We start out here. I switch, go grab, bring it in. Okay. This could also shoot to here. The same thing, and go for what we call single arm control. Single arm control naturally sets you up for the triangle, but instead of going to the triangle, I go boop, boop, or I just go straight to the arm lock, and I'm holding the elbow and going for the lock. Okay. If he starts to pass, look at, watch this leg. I open, I'm holding his elbow, and I keep this here, pushing him, sliding my hips away, holding his elbow, bring my other leg back over, holding his elbow, and bringing this back up and arm locking him. He passes. There's your arm lock. Okay. Oh, pull your arm out. Oh, don't forget about this one. And all those arm locks are going into play. You're really going.
Eric, you remember the only alarm marks we don't have the other day, don't you?
Sorry. Okay? Okay. Ta-da. Oh, hi. Hello. I unlocked him here because